All right, one last question, and then we can do some final thoughts. We've kind of already touched on it at the beginning, but I'd like to bring it up again because I think it is, like you guys said, a really important issue. First, are we headed for a depression? And if so, how will your candidate handle the current economic crisis? So, Roxanne, it's your turn to start.
I think it depends on what we do next. I think it depends on how smart the Fed is, what stuff Congress does. But I'm hopeful. Maybe naively so. I don't want to believe that we're headed to a depression. I don't think we are.
Bailout, good or bad?
As a Democrat or as personally?
Is you.
It's a terrible idea. I hate the bailout plan, but what are you going to do? I mean, they've already passed it.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about it. No amount of writing to my congressman will ever change the fact that they've done that. So,
the Fed cut the interest rate again this morning. Good or bad?
I want to say that's good. I think that's good. But we'll see. I mean, it's too early. It was this morning. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Travis?
I honestly wish that I was more educated on this kind of stuff, to be dead honest with you. As far as the bailout plan, I think we had to do something. I've heard people argue this on two sides. I've seen two Republicans that I respect get up and argue this on two sides. A congressman that voted against it, and a senator that voted for it, when it went to the Senate, voted for it. And honestly, this is such a big problem. It's well out of my, I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I knew what to do. I think we'll get out of it before we get to a depression. I truly believe that. I think that Americans will pull through this, and we're not going to see any more of a catastrophe than where we're already at. But I'll be knocking on wood.
But you two are agreeing a lot.
But to get really, really specific, I'm honestly, that's a little bit, I'm not educated enough on that.
It's a respectable
But
answer.
George is.
All right, George.
Look, you've got a federal budget that's $3 trillion between paying interest on the national debt, between the entitlement programs, and between discretionary programs. You just increased your expenditures by almost 33%. That's huge. And you're playing a game of roulette. You're hoping it's going to hit the number and it's going to pay off, 38-1. But really, what you've done is you bet on red or black, bet on odd or even, and it's either going to work or it's not. Maybe it's a better chance of winning, but for that amount of money, when you look at the rest of the federal budget, that's a difficult investment to ask taxpayers to sign on to. I think they should have taken much more time with it than they did. I think they said we need to do this now because they're all up for election on November 4th. We see the numbers continue to plummet on Wall Street. Are we headed for another Great Depression? Absolutely not. I did not get up this morning and go stand in a bread line. I did not go wait for my welfare check. It's some of this, disaster sensationalism that we're seeing in the news. It's despicable. It really is. We're not headed for the Great Depression. The Dow was, below 10,000 before President Bush came to power in 2000, and we're going to rebound from this. And both candidates said that last night, and I really appreciate that from both of them. So,
What I found interesting, especially kind of taking what we do in the classroom and what we've learned in the classroom, watching this bailout plan was such a prime example of what you see in basic, in basic American government classes of why we absolutely despise Congress. I think what George just said was absolutely right on. They should have taken more time, but it's very, very tough to take more time when the biggest question that every American sitting at home is asking is, why can these guys not go in there and come out with something? Why is it happen? And everything seems to be politics, and I think that's why we despise, why so many Americans hate Congress so much, and why this is right now you're seeing it. I mean, yes, they needed to take more time. I think if it had been 5 people having to make a decision and have a 3-2 vote, they needed to be able to sit back and make some decisions. But when you get, folks are I don't think in my lifetime I've seen folks genuinely afraid as they are. Some people are very, 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 a lot of people are very, very upset right now.
Well, there's a lot of job loss. There's a lot of people who don't know how they're going to pay their bills. I mean, there's a lot of reason for them to be afraid. I mean, this is for us, I think, really the first time that we as Americans have ever really had to struggle, like as a whole, like all of America has to struggle right now, and we're not used to that.
To put a personal spin on this, in my family, we were car dealers, and we have had in September and moving into October the worst month since. And my father said since he opened a business, 20-30 years ago, this was his absolute worst percentage month.
Well, it's like that for everybody. It's like that for everybody. You're not alone. And I think that's why there's so much pressure on Congress to do something, because almost every family in America is scared. They're wondering, how am I going to pay my bills? Or retailers are wondering, how are we going to have enough income to support the next month? Or, I mean,
this was one of those
everyone's
times where
scared.
you turn on the news and you just hate seeing them fight.
Yeah, I
you
stopped
hate
watching
seeing
the
them
news.
grapple across from each other. It was like,
Just do
sit
something.
down, come up with something. Let's get something happening. And I don't know if it was the best plan on the planet, but
it was the
like I
best
said,
they
I'm not
could do,
positive.
though. Maybe it was the best they could do.
Hopefully in the future we'll see more. I hate to end on a kind of sad, hopeless note, but thank you all for coming and
Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.